Hi everyone, and welcome to our first edition of BWG Presents Crypt Talks. I'm joined here by my guest, Michelle McCormack, who is the CEO and founder of Casting Coin. How are you doing, Michelle?
I'm good.
Great. Well, thanks so much for joining us here on our maiden voyage. Maybe we can start out. I'd love to hear just about your background and some of the work that you did with Secret City in Boston, and then how that transformed into Casting Coin.
Sure. So I am a fashion vet. I've been working in the business for about 20 years. I'm a fashion photographer, creative director. And so my career has spanned a lot, mostly in the creative industry. And then eventually I actually moved over into digital. And now I'm very deeply involved in blockchain. I was living in Boston a few years back, and I started a community called Secret Boston.
Right.
And it was a hobby. I was working at an ad agency, and it was just something I did at night, just like sort of testing out different strategies on Facebook. And it turned out to be very successful, and now it still exists. It's about 150,000 like millennials. And it's all about sort of like music, street art, stuff I'm interested in. And we have, it's got so successful that we've attracted the attention of big global brands like Uber and Red Bull, and so who want to connect with the community. And so I'm in New York City now, and the community is so strong that it kind of runs itself. And I was always thinking that, it would be interesting to like build something for that community without like trying to monetize the community, monetize it on another way. And so blockchain is something that has been on my radar for a while, especially like more recently the Ethereum blockchain. And so I had started an idea called Secret City, which was, the intention was to sort of replicate the experience of Secret Boston, but on the blockchain. And so like financially incentivizing users to post events and just talk and just have community. And I started working on it, but then I realized, like my main love is fashion. I'm here in New York. This is my industry. And there's a lot of parts of the fashion industry that could use disintermediation. One of them being the model agent role. Okay. And that's how Casting Coin came about.
Very interesting. So can you explain a little bit more about the disintermediation that you see Casting Coin solving? So I understand a little bit about the agencies, but tell me a little bit more about that.
So currently, like really one of the main reasons why agents still exist in the fashion industry for models is payroll. Brands don't want to open up new W-9s every time they hire an agent. They don't want to pay health insurance. They certainly don't want to pay workers' comp insurance. So what they do is they funnel it through an agency. Well, guess what? They don't pay it either. So who loses? Models. And so the research, we've done loads of focus groups, a lot of research, and what we found is models are like a very unprotected. They're not a class, but they almost should be. They're vulnerable, they're young. Oftentimes they come here, whether they're coming from the Midwest, oftentimes from maybe not a very good background, at like 16 years old, or sometimes from another country and they don't speak English. They end up here in New York City, and they're at the mercy of, oftentimes, and this is a fact, unethical agents. And so what happens is, a lot of times they end up in model apartments that are owned by the agency, and these apartments are overcrowded, bunk beds, bad conditions. They're paid, they're charged about $2,000 a month's rent. So the agency is making a profit on these models, and then oftentimes they don't have money, so they're just becoming indebted to their agency. So when they do go out on jobs, not only do they have 20% taken off the top, that's pretty standard. They also have they're in debt to their agent, so those fees are, that money is removed from their check. And then also there's loads of hidden fees. There's no transparency in billing for models in the agency, and a lot of, and we've asked models directly, why don't you push back about this? Why don't you ask? And unequivocally, it's because they don't want to get on the bad side of their agent, because they won't get sent out on jobs.
Right. Yeah, that's terrible. Do you see kind of a comparison in between your project here with Casting Coin and other projects like Tune that's helping, that's putting music onto the blockchain, or Verisart that's putting art onto the blockchain?
Definitely. So we're using blockchain for 3 reasons to start. We have our long roadmap, but to start, it's for quick payments, identity, and image rights. And so the image rights aspect of it is similar to those companies. Right now, if you look at a model's contract, the agent, after like typically a model gets paid for the image rights up to 6 months to a year typically. That's pretty standard. And then after that, if it's used again, they should get paid again. But in their contract, the agent gets paid. And so that has nothing really to do with blockchain, but we are solving for that. Where blockchain comes in is very interesting, is models will be able to like get paid for the life of, as long as that image is being used. So like in 30 years, if somebody happens to use it, thanks to blockchain, it'll be encoded and the model will just automatically earn the money. We are creating a decentralized app. So he or she will own their own profile. So when that money comes through, we're not getting a piece of it. It's going right to the model.
That's great. So it's helping to put some of the power back in the hands of the models.
All of the power.
All of the power.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's a huge principle for blockchain overall. So are you considering, I think I remember hearing you say that you aren't pursuing an ICO right now. Do you see that in your future?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like nothing is off the table. We are really purists in some ways with blockchain. It's really important to us that our company be using blockchain for real use cases and not sort of just for marketing purposes.
Right.
And so it feels, for me, I feel like I want to have a working product before I raise money around it from a community.
Right.
You know, like there's definitely a lot of companies that are doing it without that, and that's fine. I have nothing to say about that. But, you know, I don't like raising money from people that don't understand blockchain and just doing it for that reason. It doesn't feel right, and we have enough people that are interested in investing at this point.
Great. So what are some other applications of blockchain in the fashion space? I'm honestly,
Yeah.
a
Oh my God, like so many.
Lots?
Yes. Some that are just so natural that it just happened like from the early days. I mean, this is early days, but I'm talking like when Ethereum, was it 2 years now, smart contracts have been around. Supply chain is like the perfect use case for a lot of different reasons. For counterfeiting, like that's obviously a big problem, especially for luxury brands. Right. And so blockchain is solving that. There are companies right now being built on the blockchain to solve for counterfeit fashion.
Yeah. I mean, now you're getting into my space a little bit with the supply chain. That's, I mean, are you familiar with projects like ShipChain and everything?
Probably, so many of them. I'm like, I hear about so many supply chain companies on the blockchain, and I think more and more, because the use case makes so much sense.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm wondering too, for some of our viewers here, what has been one of the biggest challenges, I guess you'd say, in starting a company on the blockchain? Is it looking for good developers? Is it getting your consumers to understand your product? Is it getting models to sign on with this? What has been kind of some of the challenges for you?
So the biggest challenge is getting female developers. We want to keep our team female, the founding team female, and that is really been the biggest challenge.
Yeah. That actually leads really well into what I really wanted to ask you here as well, in terms of, we don't see very many women in blockchain right now. So I'd love to get your opinion about why you think that is and how we can change it going forward.
Well, I think that there are a lot of women in blockchain. I'm a writer for the New York Observer, and I just published a story on women in blockchain, and there are a lot of them. Okay. They're not as public as men, and I've been told, and I think this is true, the psychology oftentimes of women is they have to know something 100% before they will go on stage and talk about it, and men, on the other hand, actually don't feel that way. They'll just sort of talk about it. And that's been my experience too. Like, I speak a lot on blockchain, and I'm always the only, oftentimes, I'd say it's only been once that another woman's been on stage with me. And she was amazing. But I'm always with just men, and I've learned, like, I actually am okay with the fact that I don't know everything about blockchain, possibly because it's so new. And so I feel like not many people know everything about blockchain. And so I think that has been that's one of the reasons why you don't see a lot of women out there right now. Hopefully it'll change though.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, I mean, most of the people who are saying that they understand blockchain, right? I mean, that's a pretty good red flag for someone who doesn't, because it's such a new space and it's the intersection of so many different disciplines that you probably have a lot of white noise out there right now. So it's always great to meet people like you who are really, in the spirit of the movement of decentralization and have a good understanding of the technology and are trying to do something good.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think that about wraps it up. But
Wow.
Thanks so much, Michelle.
Okay.
It was really, really nice to speak to you.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, this was great.
Thanks.
And join us again soon.